Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Dan Rochon on the line, and he's founder of Greetings Virginia Sales Network, which is a real estate sales and coaching company, and he's also author of Real Estate Evolution, the 10-step guide to C.P.I, which stands for Consistent and Predictable Income for Real Estate Agents. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. How are you today?
Oh, man, all is well, and I'm excited to get into this new book that you just launched. So the 10-step guide to C.P.I, Real Estate Evolution, is going to be good. But before we do that, I do want to get a little bit further into what you're doing over at Greetings Virginia Sales Network. So tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Thank you, Adam. So we've been selling real estate. I've been selling real estate since 2007, and really just helping clients to be able to solve their problems or achieve their goals. And what we realize is that when clients come to us, they're scared about relocation or nervous or anxious and often eager to get going. And so what my job is to be able to genuinely understand their deep needs and be able to help them to, again, achieve their goals or to solve those problems.
That's awesome, and I think that's a good transition into today's topic. So we're going to get further into the book. So, real estate evolution. I mean, what was the inspiration for this?
The inspiration was in just a long time in the business. I owned a real estate sales brokerage, and about a year and a half ago, I sold that brokerage and really sort of hit a wall in my business. And I searched around I knew I needed a mentor to really sort of figure out what's the next steps of my journey. And I looked around, I called who I knew to be the top mentor in real estate, of all real estate. And I reached out to him. He said, Dan, I'll talk to you, come out, fly, see me. I went out and saw him, and he encouraged me to write this book, to be able to share my experience. And it took me more than 2 decades the sales and persuasion techniques, and it took me more than a decade to master them in real estate sales to be able to produce the content to make the book. And I spent 13 months, 3 hours every single day writing and dictating what I had learned during my journey. And that was an encouragement of my mentor. And in fact, it was for him to agree to coach me was the requirement was that I actually write this book.
Man, that's awesome. I love it. And so let's get into a little bit of the content in the book. So we're not going to have time for the listeners to go through all this. And if we did, we still wouldn't, by the way, because we want you to go out and get this book. It's really easy to find on Amazon. Literally just type in Dan's name, and you'll see it. So Dan Rochon, and it pops right up for me. So really easy to find. But let's get into some of this content. So first off, I want to pick a couple of things here that I found were interesting. So fighting your demons. Tell us a little bit more about that one.
Well, Adam, before real estate sales, I worked as a professional waiter, and I'd go into the restaurant, I would hustle hard, I'd make a few $100, and then I'd go home. Or really at that time of my life, I'd actually more likely go to the bar because I was an active alcoholic at the time. And so, the reward for my efforts, it came almost immediately in cash in my pocket. So fighting my demons was really a part of my journey to understand that, that there was more in life. Alcohol had really taken control over my life at the time. And, I didn't see a way to overcome my addiction. I felt trapped. And, I was waiting tables at the time. I think I was 32 years old or something like that. And, I couldn't see myself being a 50-year-old guy waiting tables and, not being able to spend my time with my family. And I really wanted to make a true impact on the world. I wanted to be a business owner and help people. And, I also wanted to be a great dad and a great husband. And I just really wanted a bigger life. And so fighting my demons was to be able to, personally develop, to become sober, which I did, 15 years ago, and to understand that there's more to life that I'm able to design, and anything's possible in my life, and that was a part of my fighting the demons.
No, I love it, and I think that's one of the things that makes this work unique is that you are going into a little bit more personal than some of the, let's just say, I don't want to say surface level books, but even one of my books I wrote. So I have an original Money Matters book, and I didn't really go that far into my background. It was just more nuts and bolts, but you share a lot here that maybe a lot of people don't normally do in books. So I commend you for that, and I think it also
Thank
makes
you.
the content. I think it makes the content more meaningful, and it has more of an opportunity to reach more readers. So I love it. And so let's go a little bit further into maybe some of the nuts and bolts, because there's a lot of people in the real estate industry listening to this right now, or a lot of people that maybe even want to get into the real estate industry. So Money Podcast, they have a big following there. And so let's go into some of those habits and things for salespeople that you go through that made you successful in the business. So I notice you have 7 here. We're not going to have time to go through all of them, but maybe give us 1 or 2 that you like.
Let me tell you the 2 that I would say are the fundamentals to be able to be successful, and in my belief, in any business. And one of them we've already touched on briefly, which is to flourish. Because that's the one thing that I see that, coaches or business coaches or people that help others to succeed, that sometimes they look past the who are you going to be. And so for us to be able to succeed in any business, including real estate sales, we really have to start with who are we being. And once we're able to understand that we're able to be whoever it is that we want to be, and there's some methodologies that I go through in the book, such as the self-coaching model, which is the programming leads to the thoughts lead to the feelings lead to actions lead to results, and the results lead back to your programming. And that's a psychological model there. And I give you specific hacks on, because that's a closed loop. So you can envision that as sort of like one leads to the other in a big circle. There's not, it's a confined loop. And so to be able to personally develop, you have to figure out a way, how do I hack into that loop? And I go through that in depth in the book, Real Estate Evolution. So number 1 is flourish. Number 2, and this is true, and in my opinion not only in my opinion, it's just true of all businesses, is that if you don't have leads, if you don't have business to serve, you're going to go out of business. So seldom do they tell you in business school or real estate sales school or whatever the case may be that you're going to be a business owner. So for me, for example, I'm a real estate agent specializing in the opportunity to be able to lead generate, specializing in real estate sales. And that's what I do. And I go into a step-by-step process of looking for leads.
No, I love it. And it's very, so for example, you also have breakdown a lot of habits. So you have 7 straightforward ones here that I love, and I see a couple of them, and I'm like looking at your habit number 5 out there, start early. I'm like, oh, I didn't start. I've been slacking on that one, Dan. I'm throwing it out there. I'm working back on it, but I've been slacking it. I got to get back on it. And this is a great reminder of some of the things as I look through this. So what is if there were one, and obviously there's plenty of things. I mean, this is many years of your life work that went into writing this book. If there was one takeaway that you would hope that all of the readers of this book come away with, what would that one be from finishing the book?
To develop rapport quickly. So one thing that I realized in sales as well as in business is that if people don't connect with you, then you will not be effective in regards to being able to persuade them, lead them, or guide them. And rapport is not a lot of people think that rapport is liking somebody. It's not liking somebody. It's being connected to somebody. And so it's that connectivity, and to be able to know when you're experiencing rapport, then it's a physical feeling. And there's a lot of tips and techniques that I share in the book to be able to share specifically, here's how you can develop rapport more quickly so that you can be in sync with others. And it will allow for you to be able to, as I mentioned, be more influential, more persuasive, to help others to be able to achieve what their destiny is, and to be able to really guide others.
Man, that's awesome. Love it. So Dan, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on either Greetings Virginia Sales Network or if they want to pick up a copy of the book. I mean, what's the best way for them to just connect with your content overall?
Certainly. So first, you can simply Google my name, Dan Rochon, Rochon, or you can visit for real estate sales, www.greetingsvirginia.com. And if you're interested to get the book, just type into Amazon, Real Estate Evolution by Dan Rochon. You can also visit www.therealestateevolution.com.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Dan, it's been great having you on the show today. Appreciate you coming on and telling us more about your background and also about the great book that you have out there. So Real Estate Evolution, to everybody listening, definitely go check that book out. Looking through it all, I mean, you're not going to be disappointed. Dan put a lot of work into this. This isn't you can tell it was well thought out, well written, and I'm definitely going to think it's a great read for you. Also, if you're listening to this absolutely, and if you're listening to this for the first time, love to have you be a return listener. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Leave me some comments on the comment section if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money. Love to continue the conversation over in the YouTube community. And Dan, thanks again for coming on the show.